Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
Well, we're looking at that, and I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly. And I think it's something that you'll find interesting. And it's another issue that's very interesting. But you will find it, I think, very smart. I think it's a smart decision. But we'll be releasing it very soon.
Well, that suggested that you may want to support some restrictions, like the morning after pill or something.
We are also, things really do have a lot to do with the states. And some states are going to have different policies than others. But I'm coming out within a week or so with a very comprehensive policy, which I'll get to you immediately.
Okay, good.
And there it is. Donald Trump was asked yet again, point blank, whether he'll support restrictions on contraception. And instead of saying, oh, I don't know, no, he rambles on about how he's going to have something on that very soon. A few points here. First off, this means yes. If the answer was no, he'd have said no. It would actually be quite easy to say no, given how woefully unpopular restrictions to contraception actually are. And yet the fact that he didn't say no is as clear an indication as you could possibly get that the answer in actuality is yes. Second of all, we're talking about contraception. This isn't even about abortion. This is about what people use to prevent pregnancy before, during, or after sex. If you thought Republicans meddling in abortion decisions was intrusive, which, to be clear, they are, consider the fact that Republicans are now out there litigating whether you can wear a condom, whether you can take birth control, whether you can be on the pill, whether you can have access to Plan B. If these people were any more closely involved, you'd literally have a Republican politician under the sheets with you. Notice, too, how Donald Trump started going back to his usual talking points about this being a decision for the states. So that we're clear, there are abortion restrictions or bans in 21 states. That's nearly half of the country. So saying it's a states issue is not some moderate position when a raft of those very states currently outlaw all abortions in all cases. Some criminalize doctors. What part of that is moderate? What part of that is popular? What part of that signifies freedom? When Donald Trump says that it's a states issue, what he's saying is that he approves of Texas's bounty law system where women can be hunted down and turned in for cash. What he's saying is that he approves of the fact that the entire South has become an abortion desert. What he's saying is that he approves of the fact that women have had their autonomy stripped away in a full half of the United States of America. That is the practical effect of espousing support for sending this issue back to the states. In fact, a couple of months back, that point was put on full display when Trump came out and said this.
Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that. My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart or, in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of the people. I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end. This 50-year battle over Roe v. Wade took it out of the federal hands and brought it into the hearts, minds, and vote of the people in each state. It was really something. Now it's up to the states to do the right thing.
And he clearly thought it was some strategic way to sidestep this issue, only small problem. The very next day, the Arizona Supreme Court, led by Republicans, allowed an 1864 total abortion ban to take effect. So again, when you claim that you are in favor of states' rights, that's not the moderate take here. That is an endorsement of laws even more extreme than what we're seeing on a national level. Donald Trump might have thought he avoided a tough issue, but all he did was inadvertently highlight exactly how extreme he himself is. And it's not just him either. His little proteges in the Republican Party are dealing with the same issue. Here's Carrie Lake in a clip that she's hoping would never see the light of day again.
We are recording this at the time that we're recording this. The Supreme Court has not yet issued the Dobbs decision. It can come down any day, and perhaps when people watch this interview, it will have already come down. But presuming that it goes the way that the leaked opinion indicates, you'll be on the scene as governor at a very, very providential moment, in the sense that the states will, through their elected representatives, through their governors, through their people, be able to do more to protect these babies than ever before, thanks to the court removing this obstacle of saying abortion is a constitutional right. So that's particularly exciting for me and for all who support you, that you'll actually be able to protect these children in Arizona in a way that hasn't been possible up to now.
We have great legislation already on the books, so when this decision comes down, that will kind of click in, and we will see older legislation that's already been passed, and Arizona will not be a state where abortions are happening. We need to protect the life of our most vulnerable. I'm excited to be running, and I believe I will win, God willing, and the people of Arizona vote for me. We will make sure that we're protecting the most vulnerable among us, and that Arizona will be known as a state that values the life of all people, including our unborn. We view them as Arizonans. We view them as Arizonans, and we want the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. We're in a time, Father Frank, where we need to start doing the right thing, the moral thing. And sometimes you're going to have people fighting and protesting and angry, but what is the right thing to do? What is the moral thing to do? And we need more leaders who are moral and will do the right thing, not what the polls are telling them to do, not from the pressure of some people who might be out protesting, but the right thing.
And yet, despite all that sanctimony from Carrie Lake, she's backed away from what she so clearly claimed was the right thing to do, recognizing how toxic of a political issue it's become for her. But despite her denials, her position is on the record and clear, just like it is for Donald Trump himself. And none of these Republicans are going to be able to run away from it, which is not to say that they won't try. For example, Trump himself immediately tried to walk back what he said in this initial video clip because he was hit with a wave of blowback by virtue of revealing his honest position. He took to Truth Social, writing, "I have never and will never advocate imposing restrictions on birth control or other contraceptives. This is a Democrat fabricated lie, misinformation, disinformation, because they have nothing else to run on except failure, poverty, and death. I do not support a ban on birth control, and neither will the Republican Party." Right, this is a Democratic fabricated lie, except for the fact that he quite literally said this.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
Well, we're looking at that, and I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly, and I think it's something that you'll find interesting, and it's another issue that's very interesting. But
so yeah, don't believe your lying ears. When Donald Trump outright refuses to say no, it must be that the Democrats fabricated it. Got it. Here's the thing. Donald Trump has been the single most hostile politician when it comes to women's reproductive rights in the history of this country. He constantly takes credit for appointing 3 Supreme Court justices who were responsible for overturning Roe. These people were chosen expressly because of that hostility. They are Christian fundamentalists chosen because of that Christian fundamentalism. Their opposition to women's autonomy isn't a bug, it's a feature. It is quite literally why they are there. And if you think that they're suddenly going to moderate on this issue and become less about their Christian fundamentalism that got them there and more about some non-existent moderation, then you are living on a different planet. Donald Trump has very clearly telegraphed what his intentions are, and is to finish the job that he himself started. If he becomes president, abortion will be banned nationwide. Contraception will be banned nationwide. Expect pregnancy registries, interstate travel bans, and not just in the South, not just in the Midwest, but in the entire country. There will be no reproductive rights havens, not in California or New York or Vermont or Oregon or Washington. That's what's on the ballot in November. Let's not mince words here, because too much is at stake to pretend that we don't know exactly what will happen under Republican control. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.